Okay. When I told my family that I signed up to speak at tonight's Storytellers event and that I was going to talk about my Crohn's disease, one of my brothers responded with, "Ugh, here we go again, hearing Jamie talk about how she has Crohn's disease again." And honestly, at first, his response felt hurtful. I'd never really considered that I could be like boring people or annoying them by talking excessively about the fact that I have Crohn's disease. And I talk about it because it's like a coping mechanism. The more I talk about it, the more normal and common it makes the disease feel, which makes it less frightening to live with. But although my brother's comment felt hurtful at first, it made me reconsider what I was going to talk about tonight. And ironically, it led me to change the direction of my story. So real quick, for anyone who doesn't know, Crohn's disease is a gastrointestinal autoimmune disorder. It comes with many painful, uncomfortable, and very embarrassing symptoms, most of which have to do with using the bathroom. In layman's terms, it's known as the pooping disease. There's currently no cure for Crohn's disease, but you can reach remission with the use of medication, sometimes surgery. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease almost 6 years ago, and I received my medication through IV infusions. Just got one last Friday. I get them every 6 weeks. And about 2 years ago, I started to feel like I was reaching remission, but I still have an occasional flare. But let's back up to my life before Crohn's disease. So all my life, I was a caretaker, a helper, a giver. If you ask my two younger brothers, they would tell you that I was more like second mother than a sister. If someone needed help, I would be there to help them. If someone requested a favor, I would get it done, even if it put me out. I would voluntarily go out of my way to do things for others. I was a people pleaser. I wanted my family and friends to always be able to count on me. I never wanted to say no because I never wanted to let anyone down. I felt like if I was always available for someone, then they'd need me, and I like to feel needed. It's like what made me feel secure in my relationships. And then shit hit the fan. Not literally, but close. So when I was 29, I progressively became very ill. I ended up bedridden for almost 3 weeks, leaving only for doctor appointments and procedures as we were trying to get a diagnosis and treatment options. But this is where my story for tonight takes an unexpected turn. I'm not going to tell you the sob story of how awful this disease, how this awful disease took control of my life. And I'm not going to wallow in my self-pity of how this disease tries to bring me down on an almost daily basis. Instead, I'm going to tell you how this awful disease has made me healthier. So Crohn's disease has forced me to change things that came naturally to me. Never saying no, always helping people when asked, being available for someone even when it meant not being available for myself, volunteering to go out of my way for other people, putting others before myself. And these might sound like admirable attributes, and they can be, but not when they affect your health. So getting diagnosed with Crohn's disease taught me that it's okay to say no. The people who truly love and care for you will stick around even when you can't run to their every beck and call. The people who truly matter will be the ones who are understanding when you can't or simply don't want to help or show up or even to socialize. Because first and foremost, you need to show up for yourself. And this means practicing self-care. I can't be an available and present mommy to my young kids if I'm sick in bed. I can't be a supportive daughter or sister if I've neglected my own well-being. I can't even muster the energy to socialize with my friends if I've run myself ragged with fatigue. I need to take care of myself first. Just like the airplane analogy that most of us are familiar with, you need to put your own oxygen mask on first. And that is not selfish, that is self-care. So my needs, my health, my overall well-being, that needs to come first. And I don't need to apologize for it, and I don't need to defend it. Everything I always did for others, I learned to start doing for myself first. Because by prioritizing self-care, I think I've become a better mother, wife, daughter, sister, and friend. I have more to give to others when I give to myself first. And for this reason, I thank my Crohn's disease. I'm thankful that it took me off a path that would have ultimately led to self-destruction and set me on a course for a life of healthy fulfillment. And I also want to acknowledge how life is ever changing, even when you're not noticing it. So even a trivial comment from a brother can prompt insightful changes. So my brother inadvertently prompted me to change the direction of my thinking tonight. I took a pause and I reconsidered how I wanted to view the way that this disease has altered my life. So I want this to serve as a reminder for everyone, not just people with Crohn's, a reminder of two things. One, it's always okay to say no. And two, there's always going to be shit that throws you off your planned path, but you always have some control over how you let it affect you. And by total workings of the world unplanned, I happen to be wearing a shirt that says positive vibes. And that's the many different stories of my story, past of my, that's it.
Oh, yay!
Good job.
Awesome, Jamie.
Good job.